I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will go 4-13 this year. They got a new head coach, Urban Meyer. He has never coached in the NFL before. They have a rookie quarterback, number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. They also brought in corner Shaquille Griffin from Seattle. They gave him a 3-year, $44 million contract. They signed running back Carlos Hyde. They signed wide receiver Marvin Jones. One big move they made was a franchise tag left tackle Cam Robinson. That's a nice move. I like that. This offensive line, though, has a lot to prove. I just don't trust them. And on top of that, the Jaguars are not very good at tight end. And running back Travis Etienne, who they drafted in the first round, hurt his foot, had surgery. He is likely out for the year. And I got to mention this, by the way, drafting Travis Etienne, the pick made sense to me. I'll explain why I thought, okay, I get it. It always, even on draft day though, even knowing why they were doing it, it felt a little bit wasteful. And now, especially with Travis Etienne hurt, it feels very wasteful. Like they could have got another starter. Instead, they have Travis Etienne injured, not playing at all. The reason why they drafted Travis Etienne, though, was because Urban Meyer likes having guys who can play both running back and receiver. At Florida, he had Percy Harvin. At Ohio State, he had Curtis Samuel. The Jaguars were excited, I think, to use Travis Etienne both as a receiver and as a running back. Instead, though, he's hurt, and they just have running back James Robinson, who they would have had all along if they hadn't brought in Travis Etienne at all. I get it. They were trying to bring in someone more versatile, but I think James Robinson is going to be awesome, and I don't think they needed to make any kind of move to replace him. I get it if the thought was, hey, we want more depth, we want a receiver or a guy who can be a 1-2 punch, but I just think they don't appreciate James Robinson, and that rubs me the wrong way. Now, the Jaguars did try improving their defensive line. They added defensive ends Malcolm Brown and Roy Robertson Harris. Those are guys who are 2 new starters. They are not 2 star players, but they're good enough. They're better than doing nothing. I feel good about that move. Linebacker Miles Jack is a stud. He's fantastic, an established starter. So is Shaq Griffin, their new corner. But here's the key. Not only to the Jaguars season this year, but the key to the Jaguars' future as a football team. They have a ton of young, talented players. They have running back James Robinson, wide receiver DJ Chark, wide receiver Laviska Shenault, linebackers Josh Allen and Kayvon Chaisson. I think it's how you say that, actually. Young corner CJ Henderson is really good, former first-round pick. And then obviously they have Trevor Lawrence. Like there is a lot of not only talent, but often even first-round picks on this Jacksonville Jaguars football team. The question is, and this is the key to their year, the key to their future, can Urban Meyer not only, because he's a college coach, really, and college football players, I don't know if you know this, are different from NFL players. NFL players have lives and wives and kids and want to be treated a little bit differently. So the question is, can Urban Meyer connect with NFL players, and can him and his coaching staff develop these young players and make them into star football players? Guys who, look, there's a lot of potential on this roster, but they have to develop their young players. Guys like CJ Henderson, who is capable of a lot, have to be given good coaching and developed into even better players. Now, the Jaguars have, there's a reason why the Jaguars were a team with the number 1 overall pick. They're a bad football team, and that cannot be ignored. So I think when I say this, I'm not trying to be mean or harsh. I just look at the Jaguars' schedule and say, well, there's only really 5 games that I look at as realistic games the Jaguars can win. These are 5 winnable games the Jaguars have on their schedule. They play at Houston week 1. They play at Cincinnati week 4. They play against Atlanta week 12. Week 15, they play Houston again. And then week 16, they play at the Jets. So Houston twice, Cincinnati, Atlanta, and the Jets. The other 12 games on the Jaguars schedule, I'm not going to judge very harshly because they are a team that is rebuilding, and I'm like, we'll see. But I'm going to judge Urban Meyer's first year on how well he does against other bad and rebuilding football teams. So these 5 games are going to impact how I feel about the rest of the year. Again, Houston, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Houston again, and the Jets game. Those 5 games, when we look back at the end of the year and say, how did Urban Meyer do in these 5 games against other teams in a similar situation? I hope it's good. I'm not sure what to make of it. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going 4-13 this year, and we'll see. I just keep an open mind, and I will be curious to look at this team later in the year and reevaluate.